In the garden, tools that help us get things organized and planned are essential. That is why when I found this new garden scheduling app, I couldn't wait to try it out. I used it last year and I loved it so much that today I want to share it with you. Let's get growing. Hello and welcome to the Pray Just Plant podcast, the show that talks about growing a garden, a homestead, a healthy family, and most importantly, growing closer to God. I'm your host, Crystal Media, owner of the Red Ridge Farm Homestead, where our mission is to help women of faith find the courage to grow healthy food for their family while building a closer relationship with our Lord and Savior. That's you. Don't let the world hold you back. Pray, just plant. Hello, fellow growers, and welcome to the Pray Just Plant podcast. I'm your host, Crystal Mediate, and today in season 14, episode 6, I want to talk to you about a new tool that I found and I love. Now, it's going to be hard to explain it to you here on the podcast because it is kind of visual, so I will be making some videos to go along with this in the blog that you can find below in the show notes or in the description below. So please jump over there. If things sound like, man, I just don't understand what she's talking about. And I'm also going to show you some little tips on how to use it and talk about how it can be really useful for you on the homestead and how you could use it for a homestead kind of ideas. But let's talk about this app. So this app is called Seedtime, and I found it last year. It was really amazing, and it has helped me get a lot of things done. When I developed my garden planning worksheets and spreadsheets, which I have available for people to use, because I really wanted to show people how to calculate then grow their own food. So and I think those worksheets can help you in calculating like how much you should grow. But one of the worksheets that I tried to develop, and I couldn't just quite wrap my mind around it, was a worksheet where you could, a spreadsheet essentially, where you could plug in, okay, this is when I'm going to start this seed. Tell me what to do next. Okay, that if I'm going to start this seed here, it needs to be transplanted at this time. And if you transplant it at this time, you should be preparing your bed at this time. And that was a lot of stuff that you still had to do manually. There wasn't a way that I could figure that part out in those worksheets that I wanted to develop for you and for myself. I just wanted something easier to make garden planning so much easier. Because one of the biggest things that I focus on in garden planning is that garden planning is beyond just a cute drawing of your garden. It's creating a schedule. It's telling yourself, okay, this is when I need to plant my beets. This is when I need to be preparing my bed for my beets if I'm transplanting. Or this is when I need to be preparing my bed so I can plant direct seed my beets next week. All of that so that I can just run it on autopilot. I could spend a couple days planning out the whole season. And not like strategically, like this day I'm going to be doing this, but a loose guideline of like, okay, your broccoli is going to be ready in 55, which broccoli is in 55 days. Beets are going to be ready in 55 days. So this time, if I plant them here, this will be an estimated harvest date. I thought that was really important. And I do show you how to do that in several podcast episodes, blog posts that I have for you. But this app really takes the simplicity that beyond nothing. Beyond anything. You simply put in one thing and this app schedules everything else. It schedules cultivating, which like go weed your garden pretty much. It schedules transplanting, planting, harvesting. It schedules when you should be seeding and a lot of things, and it develops it into a nice big plan, kind of like a spreadsheet worksheet, but then it takes it to a to-do list, which I really love. I can just go on and say, okay, I'm on week of April 16th, and on that to-do list, it just gives me the things that I need to do, and so much more. So I'm getting overzealous here in my little introduction of this app. I want to get into it a little bit deeper with you and really discuss it with you and talk about the benefits of it because there are so many. This app it's called Seedtime, and it was developed by Edwin and Paul Dissinger. I hope I'm saying that right because it's made by gardeners for gardeners, and it was made by Edwin and Paul Dissinger. On their website, they say that they know how time-consuming and overwhelming garden planning can be, or a farm can be, and so they decided to create the Seedtime app for the gardening/farmer that lets you visually, which I really love, plan your garden in just minutes and just a few clicks, which is so true. That is not being fanciful there. That is so true. It took me 2 hours the other day, and that was not just on the app, but I had planned out my whole garden and all my succession plantings, everything in 2 hours. My complete to-do list for my garden is done. So now all I need to do is go to my task page every week and do the things it tells me to. And that's it. That's what it is. Now it is in the beta phase, so they're still working on things, but it is free. You can get free access to it with a free account. And I'll go over that really quick. The free account is you get the click and drop calendar, and I'm going to go over what all these are in just a moment. But you get the click and drop gardening calendar. You get over 70 built-in crops, flowers, so you can type in your name of your tomato, and it has it built in there. So it tells you, okay, that tomato is 110 days, or this tomato is 105 days, and it helps you calculate that by that plant variety. Unlimited planting schedule, unlimited task list, unlimited journal entries. Yes, it has a journal entry as well. Entire masterclass video lesson series, and the private garden community. That's all part of it. It's really amazing. So I'll go through some other features that they have and the things that I really loved about it. So when you first sign up, it's free. As I said, you first sign up, you make your account. It will give you the front page, and it's just a big calendar that looks like a spreadsheet. And maybe because I developed my own spreadsheets, it made it very simple. I could see what they were talking about there and how they were using it. But the Seedtime calendar, what they say about it, is finally a ridiculously simple and powerful way to create and organize your garden plan all year round. It's true. It goes from January to December. It's a full calendar. It's an up-to-date calendar, so it moves through year to year. But the way it works is you go to it, and then it asks you to put in your first crop. And that's where you are going to say, I need to put in my cauliflower. And then you say, okay, am I going to direct seed it, or am I going to transplant it? You pick which one you're going to do. And then it automatically creates a schedule for all the things you will need to do for that cauliflower. And that's the Seedtime calendar. I'm going to go deeper into that in just a moment. And then the Seedtime, next thing that they have is the Seedtime task thing. This is where all of those dates get put into a task tab so that you can just click them off, which I love. You know how I love clicking off things when I get things done. You can actually click them off as, ta-da, it's done. The next thing is you have your journal. So if there's something that you're noticing some blight, or you're noticing something going on with your tomatoes, or you're noticing things like last year, one thing that I put in my journal was I planted 2 types of cucumbers, and one did really well, but another one didn't do as well, and it had little scratches on the cucumber, and I don't know why it did. So I took pictures of it. I put it in that journal. It was so great. And that's the other thing. It's like on your phone. And your phone, I take my phone with me everywhere in the garden because I listen to podcast episodes. I listen to the Bible. I listen to a lot of stuff while I'm out in the garden, just focusing on, being outdoors. And so that was really helpful. And then for a novice, there's some things that I looked up on here, but some things, the Seedtime classroom was really beneficial because it talked about, so for example, one time that I saw it and understood what it was talking about was, okay, if your to-do thing was, and you can click on it and it opens up into the thing that you need to do. If it was to direct seed your spinach, it actually has a little video down below it, how to direct seed, and talks about fertility and all the things that you should do to be starting seeds. If you're starting seeds and transplants, he has a soil block demonstration. It goes in deep that, and it goes into just pretty much teaching you. So it's a calendar and also teaches you how to grow and do the tasks that it talks about. The Seedtime community, I have not tapped into that, but it's a private Facebook group that you can jump into and really talk to other people and really get connected about Seedtime if you have questions about it and more. I just want to give you just a little bit more product overview before we jump into the benefits of all of these pieces. So another great thing that they have is when you first start up your account, you actually put in your zip code, your address, your growing zone. And I've talked to you guys about growing zones before. It's the measure of when something is a perennial and when something is an annual. So in my growing area of a 4, sometimes 5, the tomatoes are a perennial. But if I were to go down to Texas, tomatoes, or Mexico, where tomatoes are originated, it's an annual. It can actually survive longer because it's the heat and all of the things. Growing season is also going to tell you when your last frost date is, when your first frost date is. So it really gives you your growing season, like how long it is. Mine's from May 15th to first week of September. Usually we've had a snowstorm in August and a frost in August, so it shows me my growing zone. And it does that here in this app. So you put in your address, you put in your growing zone, and it will automatically fill in your average last frost date, your average last hard frost date, your average first frost date, which is in the fall, the average first hard frost date. So then it can schedule and give you warnings like, okay, if you're transplanting your tomatoes outside, it's not scheduled to do that yet because outside is not scheduled to do that. So it says here, that's why we've designed the Seedtime to automatically suggest your average frost date, latitude, and growing zone to create a garden plan that works perfect for you. So it can help you with some warnings. I've gotten a few warnings about my beets. I wanted to plant with my market garden and do more successions. And when I made the succession, it said, hey, you realize that that's the hardest part of the summer and beets might have a lower germination rate in that area. Well, I over-jumped that by germinating all my beets in my home where it's cool and nice air conditioned, and then I plant them outside. But that warning was there so that if you were going to direct seed them, you would know that. The same like when I went to go do my peas. It said, okay, that's a little early. You don't have your frost date done yet. But I know that I'm growing my peas in my greenhouse, so I know that that actually is another zone. You can go a half a zone with that. So I know my peas will probably be all right in the greenhouse. But that's what it does. So it's going to set up all of that for you. Another great aspect of it is it's click and drop. So once you get something scheduled and you want to change the date for it, so if you want to change your seeding of lettuce from the 16th to the 18th, you can pick up the to-do thing on your calendar and drag it over there and drop it. And then in that action, not only do you change that action, but you change every continual action as well. So that means that the bed preparation will go back 2 days. The transplanting lettuce will go back 2 days. The cultivating lettuce will go back 2 days. And the harvesting lettuce will go back 2 days or a week or 2 weeks, however you want it to do. But it just does it automatically for you. So it'll map all the things out for you, those different steps. And then I talked about it has over 2,650 plus built-in varieties and growing. That means that it knows the maturity date, it knows the spacing, it knows the estimated transplanting time, like when you start the seed to when you can transplant for all of those different varieties. Now, if you're making your own varieties or a variety isn't included and you want that variety to be put in there, then you can purchase the Seedtime for a certain amount of time. And I'll get into that pricing in a little bit. But you can purchase it and be able to put in your own things. But everything is very customizable. Another option here that he talks about, everything's customized. You can, like if I want to, it tells me, okay, so if I go and put in my cauliflower, on the little thing, it pops up, okay, when do you want it to seed? It doesn't just give me a date. It says, when do you want to? Do you want to do it relative to your frost date, or do you want to put a date in manually? And you can do that. Is your seeding date, do you want it 8 weeks? This is changeable. And you can see it if you guys go look at the pictures, that there's drop-down menus and things that you can use to change this. Do you want the seed date to be 8 weeks before the last frost? If you're doing the relative to frost, you still get to choose. No, I only want it 2 weeks from last frost. You can change that, and then it'll change the date for you. Now, if you click over to the manual, then you just put in the date, tell when you want it, and so on. That helps with your schedule. Then the next thing you get to choose is your plant. Okay, how are you going to plant it? What method are you going to use? Are you going to use transplants? Or are you going to use direct seeds? If you're going to use transplants, then you want those transplants ready in 28 days to go out into the garden. So then it's going to tell you what day that's going to be that you're going to start those transplants if what time you chose was 8 weeks before the last frost. So it's going to backdate it. It's not going to be you sitting there counting 28 days back. It's going to do it for you. The next thing is harvest. So you can double check your maturities. I think this feature is the best feature because I want to know my harvest dates. It is so important. I talked to you guys about it lots and lots in my Beyond the Harvest planning because you want to know when your harvest is getting close so that you harvest on time. You're going to be picking at the right time, picking at peak. Then the next feature is winter gardening. This is an option. Are you doing under cover, 1 cover, 2 cover, the date of the winter gardening? So these are some features he just added because I didn't see that last time, but that would be an amazing feature because this year I really want to get into my greenhouse and grow stuff. He also has flowers. This is a new feature that he's been adding. Are you a cut flower grower or just interested in growing your own flowers? They have 37 flowers added to the Seedtime with over 750 varieties, so you can start planting your flowers out directly in Seedtime. That is amazing because that is something that it's just not done. This is an amazing app. The other thing is a movable crop planting schedule. Everything can be moved. Want to plant your garden around the vacation you're planning? You can. Drop crop planting schedules into your calendar. You can easily drag and drop them. We discussed that before. Another feature that I really love is the automatic succession planning schedule. And that really puts it, and we're going to discuss that more in the benefits. Then there's the easy task filter. This is another benefit that I'm going to talk about in the benefits, but I want to go over this overview so you guys know what they have. And then they have detailed instructions and demonstration videos, which I hinted on a little bit. They also have where you can plan your garden inside this app, but you do need to pay for the app in that area. There's also different views that you can be looking at your calendar views. There's different ways that you can be looking at it. There's winter gardening. There's frost zones. It shows you according to your calendar. It actually puts a little snowflake there so you can actually see what it is. Goes more into how easy this is because you can take it everywhere. What I love is not quite for me like in an app that you just click an app on your phone. It's on a web browser that you use it. So what I do is I get on my computer, I fill in all the things, and then I just have the task list on my Google Chrome on my phone that I can click things off of. But another great feature is you can print the calendar as well and just take it right on your clipboard and you have everything you need. So I want to get into the benefits of this app and some amazing ways that I've learned to use it here on the homestead that have really boosted the way I market garden for sure in just a moment. But now it is time for the tips and tricks segment of this episode where you and I dive into a timely tip and trick that I'm using right now here at Red Ridge Farmstead. This week's tip is brought to you by the Red Ridge Farm Seed Variety Tracker. This database was developed to help you keep a digital log of your seeds. I've done it. Maybe you've done it. You've gone out to the garden. You used up all your seeds. You throw away the seed packet. You forget about it. And then you decide you really love those green beans and you want to grow them again, but you can't remember the name of them because you threw away the seed packet. This database was designed to help you keep track of all of those things. So no matter what happens to the seed packet, you still have all the information you need to keep growing. Get your free copy. Go to redridgefarm.org/resources. My next tip for you is solarization. The spring months are coming, and one great way to get ahead of the weeds is with solarization. So what is solarization? Solarization is where you use something, a board, a product, a tarp, that will block the sunlight and from your soil. So what that does is those seeds, or weed seeds, the seeds that you don't want growing there, will germinate underneath that tarp because they can germinate in the dark, but they won't grow in the dark. They'll die back and die. And all you will need to do in the spring is fold back your tarp and you'll be able to clean up those weeds and plant. We use solarization here at the Homestead, and it has really helped us change from a tilling garden to a non-tilling garden, because one of the big combatants is those spring weeds. So why not stop them before they even have a chance to grow by using solarization? And you can go out as soon as the snow begins to melt and lay down that tarp and you will be golden. We use solarization throughout the winter. We cover our soil through the whole winter because, one, covering our soil is so important to the microorganisms living in that soil, and two, they're already covered and ready for spring to come. Okay, we went over an overview of this app. Now I want to really dive into some added benefits that this app has that I really enjoyed personally, but also that are just amazing. And I really think this app is so beneficial for you, and including it's free. Really, you can do so much stuff. I have not yet paid for the app yet. The features that I'm talking about today are the ones that are completely free. And I think what's so amazing about this app is it can be used for the regular hobby gardener, but it also can be used for someone who really wants to take their garden to the next level with succession planting and companion planting and all of the like. So we are talking about the Seedtime app. It is an app developed by Edwin and Paul Dissinger. And they developed this app because they wanted to help people take the stress out of planning. And I tell you what, it definitely does. So one huge benefit of the calendar is the click and drop planting, meaning that if something comes up and you can't get to, like us last week, couple weeks ago, we were sick and I needed to have been planting my tomatoes and I couldn't get to it. It was on the schedule. Instead of having to go in and reschedule everything, all I needed to do was click on the little icon that said tomatoes, edox, that's the type of tomato, and click on it and drag it to the new date, and it changed everything for me. This is a huge benefit because it saves you time when life changes. And you know life changes. The best laid plans are for mice and men, right? They just don't work. Life changes and gets in our way. Another great feature that I really loved about this app was that I could choose. Just like the other day, I was sitting there and I was like, I'm going to transplant all my spinach. But this year I decided I wanted to grow more spinach. And I found out last year that I didn't need to succession plant it as much as I thought I did, because the type of spinach that I got regrew very well, and it regrew in a very timely manner. That I thought, okay, well, I'm just going to do one whole bed of spinach once and just nurture it through the whole season. Well, when I sat down to do that, and last year I did transplants, which was perfectly fine. When I sat down to calculate, and this is one thing that this app doesn't do, is calculate like how many you need to be planting per bed. But I do have a worksheet for that. Share that in the description below of how you can calculate different spacing and calculate how many plants you need per bed or how many seeds you need per bed, so then you know how much to order. This app doesn't do that, but I will definitely help you out with that. But when I sat down to do that and figured it out, I needed like 300 some spinach transplants. And I said, no, I am not transplanting that many. I'm going to direct seed this year. And so it was really easy to just jump back into that. I just clicked on the spinach, moved it to direct seed. It changed very quickly what I needed to do and what the dates changed, and I just put save, and it changed everything. It popped spinach from me needing to do all the transplanting to when I actually need to go out and plant it in the ground, and when I need to have the beds ready and all of that. That just automatically filled out, and it was so customizable. It's not even funny, because if I want to, like, another thing that I'm running behind because we were sick a couple weeks ago. I didn't get certain things planted when I needed to or started in my seedling area. So I had it scheduled that I wanted to put out my peppers. I wanted to start them 6 weeks before the last frost date, as in transplanting them. But because I missed transplanting them, I decided, okay, well, I'll just put them out 4 weeks, starting them 2 weeks early, but that should be fine. I'm going to still put them under cover. They're going to be in another greenhouse that I'm building, so it will be fine for them to go out at 4 weeks. So I readjusted that, and I didn't have to do anything but just change the date of when I wanted to start them, because I did manual, and then when I wanted them to go out and to be transplanted, like the days from, and it did all the other calculations for me, which is so amazing. So one benefit that I really wanted to talk about that I kind of just hit on last time was succession planting. This is something that I don't and didn't do for years in my garden, but it cuts down the production that I could use. If you want an abundant garden, get into succession planting. That means that there's 2 ways that you can look at succession planting. One way that he talks about it is that you want a continual harvest of lettuce. So if you plant the first few plants of lettuce, instead of planting all of your lettuce at one time, you would plant 2 or 3 rows so that you would have lettuce for 2 or 3 weeks when they're matured. And then if you plant 2 or 3 more rows after that, 2 or 3 weeks later, and this will tell you exactly how far apart a succession planting should be, then you'll have continual lettuce throughout the growing season. Because lettuce is an example that it's short term. It doesn't take very long days. It's like 40 to 55 days for a head of lettuce from seed to maturity. So that will help you, especially if you're transplanting. You may only have that lettuce out in the garden for 4 weeks, and then you could be putting something else or putting in more lettuce or continuing down. So you can look at succession planting as in there's one long bed, you're going to make all of it lettuce, but you're going to be doing it at different times of the year or different times in your schedule. So another thing you could be thinking about that in that succession planting is, okay, well, now that first section of lettuce is ready, what can you replant there? Well, you could replant succession 3 there, the third succession, because that harvest would be done and that third succession would be ready to grow and go there. But you could plant something totally different. On my growing plan, I have where I'm going to be growing lettuce, and then I'm going to follow up with a fall crop of broccoli. And so that is also succession planting. So that's what it is. So let's look at how this app can help you with it. It's so easy that all you do is in the little side menu of the schedule, there's 3 little dots to the right of the little bar that is the plant that you want, and you click on it, and all you have to do is click add succession. And when you developed your first spreadsheet for it, you tell it what succession you want. Not spreadsheet, for the little drop down menu that has for that plant. I don't know what to exactly call it, but it's the details of it. You tell how far apart you want the succession. But you just click that little button and it schedules the next succession for you automatically. And that is so amazing. I do give you a tip here, though, would be that you do have the first date of all of your things exactly when you want them before you do the scheduling of successions. Because if you go and change that first date and you want it to go through all the different succession, it doesn't do that. It doesn't correlate them together. So there's been some times, which still is a feature, you can go in and delete a crop and then go back and redo the succession. But if you just make sure that you get all of your foundation crops done first before you do your succession planting, it'll be quick and easy, and it just automatically does it for you. It's so amazing. The other great benefit of this app and another tool that was really cool was that it has an easy task filter. So when you're on that task page that I told you that I really love, that I use all the time because it's just right on my phone, there's a drop down menu where you can click on what task you want to see. So when you get into midsummer, that task list can be really, really long because it's got harvesting and prepping beds and transplanting and a lot of things on there. So the five tasks that he shows you and reminds you of are seeding, and that includes seeding and direct seeding, bed preparation, transplanting, cultivating, and harvesting. Everything's by week. He gives you a week to do stuff. So there's a start date and a due date, but it also gives you a week that it's on that task list. And then if you don't get it done, it moves it to the next week. But if you are, say it's Monday, and you know you start all your seedlings on Monday, you can take that filter, drop it down, unclick the bed prep, the transplanting, the cultivating, and the harvesting, and only the seeding and direct seeding will show up. And it'll show you directly, and it'll just shrink that list down for you so you can get those things done. And then you can open it back up and hide the seeding. And then, and once you get it done, it'll click it down to completed so that'll just disappear. So then you pick the next thing, bed prep. Okay, what's the next thing I got to do? What bed preps do I need to do? And so you go out and do those. And then you can pick the transplanting. And I find that really easy to just really, the biggest thing that when you're looking at a to-do list and you're like, man, what do I start with? There's so much to do. This really helps you just focus and tackle those tasks that are like each other and combined. Another great thing that I loved about it is the printing. I do like to print my lists, especially when I want to give it to the kids and show them, hey, this is what you need to do. But a lot of times it's just on my phone. But the printing helps me really get an overview of further dates that I need to be thinking about. Another great feature, and I think it's a really great benefit too, is, and I mentioned it just a little bit when we were talking about the task tracker, is that if you don't get something done, like if you don't get the bed prepped for carrots done, it'll automatically put it back to the next week. But it also, what I love about it says, this is overdue. This is past its due date. It'll automatically move it back, keep it there for you to do. It doesn't disappear, but it says, hey, this is overdue. If you don't want it to be overdue, you need to change the dates for it, but it's going to be there reminding you that you need to do it, which is really important. And the biggest thing that I love about this app is it just makes it so easy to take it out in the garden and get things done by just simply pulling out your phone, seeing the list that you need to do, and just doing it. Oh, another great feature too that I wanted to talk about is when you journal in the journaling spot, it will link what you're talking about to your calendar, so then you know exactly, or to the crop that you're using. So when I talked about those cucumbers, I actually could link and say, this was broccoli, cucumber, such and such, and this is what I saw. And it was just a quick drop-down menu that I got to pick from, and it just made it so easy. But my biggest thing that I love about this app is just that it takes the guesswork out of so many things. So what are some ways that you can use it? And I use it here on the homestead. So like I've said, I think I've kind of mentioned a little bit, that I sit down in January and I lay out, and the reason it's January is because that's when I order my seed, and I lay out when things need to be planted, how much I'm going to be planting of everything. And again, I'll share that worksheet for you on how to figure out and calculate how much will fit in a bed by seed spacing and all of that. And then I get into and order my seeds, and I fill out this calendar so that when February or March rolls around, I know exactly what I need to be starting. It tells me right away. It has a list of, these are your tomatoes, these are how many you said that and I can put notes on each of the little menus that I have there. When you open one of these menus, you get access to one, there's the how-to part, and that's where he gives you the videos and stuff, but there's a start date, a due date, what crop it is, what crop variety is. You can label it. So if you want to say, what I used was, like I told you, I put in my beds. I have my beds numbered in my garden plan and named. So Southwest 1, I know exactly where that is. So I can type in this label, Southwest 1. This is just one of the labels I used last year. It's a drop-down menu, so it kind of remembers some of them. It was Southwest 1-North End. And that was some carrots, or no, actually it was some tomatoes that I put in, but I only put those variety on that north end, so that I knew like the bed was split in half. So half of it was this and half of it was that. And that was really helpful as well. And then it's also color coded. So when you're looking at things, you know that all the carrots are yellow or orange. The broccoli is like a really deep green. The herbs are a different color. And then you can go into your advanced settings and really play around with it and kind of cultivate it to your growing area. Because even with the planting area, I like to plant a little closer. I go off of the garden marketer, Jean Martin Fortier, I think, and Elliot Coleman, because they do plant in raised beds and they do plant a little closer, and that would help. And I can plug those in. I can change that. So if you're doing something different than that as well there, then you can really change things up. Another thing about harvesting is I can put in, like it says here for my carrots, I think I put on carrots. Yeah, my Yaya carrots. It put it in that I can have a harvest window of about 21 days, but I can also click until end of season, which means that like my spinach, I can just have it as continual harvest. And so it'll just continue to remind me, and it'll take, so on the calendar with that 21 days, it'll say, okay, beginning day harvest is May 1st, and then it'll go 21 days, and then it'll stop. And it'll stop reminding me on my task thing to continue to harvest that. I have the option of saying, okay, I want my spinach to go all year long or all season long. So I'm going to click that, and it'll put it all the way to all season long, which is really helpful. And another thing that I'm looking at the calendar right here, and it's showing me, it's bright yellow what today is that I am recording this, and it's showing me, okay, these are the things that you needed to been getting done today. It looks like I have a filter on. I do. I only have my seeding and my direct seeding shown on the calendar, so it really opens it up. And the things that I got done, they're not moved. They're just a lighter color because they're scored out, so they're click through, so you can really see when things get done. So this is something I just use to really coordinate and really get into what I want to do in my garden. Now I want to see so in their category for crop categories, they have artichoke, arugula, basil, beets. So you can be doing herbs, bok choy, broccoli, Brussels, cabbage, carrots, collards, cilantro, corn, cucumbers, dill. They have another great feature too is they correlated it, like your green beans to bush beans or pole beans. So then you kind of know that as well because they're different varieties. They do determinate and indeterminate tomatoes. Then they have the flowers like they had mentioned before. So this is more for just annual growing. It's not going to be a plan. That's one downside of it. It's not going to be a plan for your perennials. And you know how important I feel here at Red Ridge Farm about perennials, that we need to put them in our garden plan. So you need to be making sure that they're there. Maybe you can put them in as something else, but you want to make sure that they are being cultivated and utilized and taken care of, because the asparagus, I didn't see asparagus on the crop thing. I didn't think. Nope, asparagus is not there. And that is a perennial, but it's still going to need to be taken care of. Now, with the paid plan, and we're going to be getting into that, I'm sure those are some things that you could put in there, because in the paid plan, you can put in any crop you choose, and you can put in the details you want. So if you want to cultivate or remember to fertilize your apple trees, you could probably put that in this app. The other downside of this app, I would say, is that you don't have, so like Seedtime quit tomorrow, I would not have this plan anymore. And that's another reason I print stuff, just in case for my personal record. So I do encourage you to do that, because this is an app that is out there for free, and that doesn't mean that it's going to be there forever. A lot of people love it. I love it. I think it's something that's going to be very useful and so much more. So another way that I use it on the farm is I use it to, which I think I covered before, but I use it to really keep track of where I planted what by labeling those labels and figuring out where I planted. One of the biggest thing it really helped me keep track of last year that I didn't realize that I wasn't keeping track of is my different varieties. So I was just lumping together like my tomato harvest of like, this was my tomato harvest. Wow, this was cool. Tomato harvest done. This is the numbers that I got that for the whole tomato harvest. But instead in this app, it helped me really break it down to like, this is the type of tomato you have planted in this bed. So if you're harvesting this bed, why not just weigh those tomatoes for this bed? And then you know how much this variety of tomato produce compared to this variety tomato, and then you can start refining the varieties that grow well on your farm and on your homestead, Crystal, not just tomatoes overall. The same thing with the cucumbers that I noticed. It's like, okay, these are the best greenhouse cucumbers. Let's just get both of them. Well, I found out that one of them just didn't work very well, and now I have record that that's the one I don't want, and it's an easy record. Instead of me having to go in and type a bunch of notes, I can just easily journal it, and there it was. I was out in the garden with my phone, clickety click, 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 and I had the journal entry in there, and I knew exactly which one I'm not growing next year. And that was very helpful. So there's a lot of things, a lot of benefits to this app, and I think it's really amazing. And we're going to get into the different features of the different pricing in just a moment, but remember, you can use all the features that I've mentioned so far for free. There's a few that I've told you that cost more money, and that's what we're going to talk about in the next segment. So today we're talking about this amazing app that I found and how I want to share it with you so that you can get all of your garden planning done very simply. I love this app, and I just want to make sure that you guys know it's available out there, and maybe you're on the fence and you know about it, but you're like, maybe I shouldn't do it. I'm telling you, it is worthwhile. And the free features, there are a lot of them, and it's still going to be useful. So we've talked about all the benefits. We've talked about the app itself. So right now, as we wrap up this episode, I just want to talk about the different prices out there for these apps and the different features that it has. In the free, which was what I use, it is free forever, no trial period, nothing. Free forever is what it says right here on the website. I'm reading it straight from the website. You get the Seedtime calendar. That's one calendar, built-in crop categories and varieties. That's what you get to use. Unlimited planting schedule. You get the Seedtime task with unlimited tasks. You get the Seedtime journal with unlimited journal entries. The Seedtime classroom with masterclass video series. The Seedtime community. The Seedtime store, which is access to seeds, fertilizers, and more, which I didn't know about. I'm going to check that out. And then the next upgrade is the basic. Now, both of these next things you can try for free for 7 days. They are free trial. And you can get the basic, which is $10 a month. And you get the Seedtime calendar with the built-in before, but additionally, so I'm just going to mention what you get additionally. Additionally, you get to unlimited custom crop categories, meaning you get to put in your own crops, unlimited custom varieties. So you get to put in your own varieties as well. So this breaks it down to custom crop means like you could put in your apple tree, or you could put in your asparagus, or you could put in any custom crop that you have that's not what he has already in his database. Then you can break that down even further. So if you have 3 different types of apple trees like me, you could put in your apple trees, and then you can put in your varieties of those apple trees and make sure that their maturity dates and everything are different, but are to that variety. The next thing you get in the $10 per month is the new Seedtime layout. This is one visual layout of your garden that seamlessly connects with your gardening calendar. So it's an actual plan, little piece of paper that I say that a garden plan shouldn't only be. It connects that with the garden calendar, which is just would take your garden to the next level. Then you get all those other features, but in the Seedtime store, you get 20% off all seed packs. You also, for future release, are going to get the Seedtime weather, which is unlimited access to weather dashboard and custom weather alerts. That sounds really cool. You also get the 30-day money-back guarantee. Try it risk-free. Either you love it or send us an email and we will refund you, no hassles. So the last plan, and this right now is 35% off the beta special, I didn't realize that, but it is $13 a month. Originally, it's $20 a month, but now through this 35% off beta special, you can get the unlimited for $13 a month. So the additional things for that is unlimited calendars. So that means that you can have multiple calendars for multiple years. And that's right. I had to go in and delete all of my stuff from last year so that I could put in the new stuff for this year, because that would have been 2 different calendars. So you could keep different calendars if you wanted to. And so you could keep an annual calendar and a perennial calendar and a totally different calendars. That would be really cool. The next thing is with the seed layout, instead of just one visual layout, you get the unlimited visual layouts. So you can make as many visual layouts as you want. Then you get the same features as the other one, but they're going to also add in the Seedtime inventory, which is unlimited access to keep records, to keep track of anything in your garden like seeds, soil minutes, and more. That's amazing. There's also the Seedtime records, unlimited access to keep track of any records in your garden like harvest amounts, seeding amounts, number of transplants, and more. So it'll help you put in the number and keep record of what you planted, but it won't help you calculate the number. Seedtime analytics, unlimited access to view and analyze your records in a simple visual way. That is cool. I think it is so important. One of the big reasons that I'm sharing this with you is because I feel it is really, really important that we keep track of notes. We do a audit. We need to audit our homesteads. For instance, my goat named Honeybee, how much milk she's giving me in each month of her lactation. How much am I feeding her? How much is it costing me to produce that milk? So 1, I know how much I'm saving at the grocery store, maybe. But 2, if I wanted to sell my milk, I know the cost and I know what I need to sell it to make a profit. I also know, okay, her bloodline maybe isn't as good in the milk production as it needs to be. Maybe I need to breed her to this buck because it has a little bit better milk production, and then the baby would be a better fit for my farm. And that's what I did. I mean, when I first bought her grandmother, I really liked Amber. That's my foundation doe. I still have her. She's my foundation doe. I really liked her, but I wanted to change her milk quality and her milk taste, and I wanted to but keep her milking longevity. And so then I went into further bucks and how I could do that and how I could produce offspring that would be a more fit to my homestead. The same thing goes for plants. Like that one cucumber variety doesn't work on my homestead. There was a bean variety that I had a few years ago that I don't like the taste of. And those are some benefits of it too. But if we don't keep track of how well we're doing, we can get sucked into the failures, because the failures is what our human brains remember, isn't it? So if you want to conduct a garden audit or a homestead audit, I have a full blog post all about that. Keeping track of records, keeping track of information, knowing what your homestead is doing to, one, create you food is going to help in so many different ways. I mean, knowing that your tomato crop isn't as great as it was last year will help you rethink, well, maybe I need to add more of this in amendments, or maybe I just need to up my compost, or maybe I need to give this area a rest, or oh look, I've raised tomatoes here 5 times in a row, but I haven't supplemented anything that from it because of what the tomatoes take out of my soil. So there's so many things that you need to keep track of with records, and getting into an app that will help you get a schedule for things is going to help you save time and money, because you're saving time, but you're going to be saving time in the garden. I know, and you know, that I'm a busy person and you're a busy person. We have so many things, so many hats that we're wearing. We're trying to be mothers. We're trying to be homemakers. We're trying to be growers. We're trying to be all of these things that God is pointing us to. But sometimes the biggest thing, the biggest asset we can do is we can schedule and we can make a plan, so that when I have 15-20 minutes to go out and work in the garden, which I usually schedule more than that, but when I have 15-20 minutes, maybe it's extra time and it's just like, I want to get outside, I want to go do something, I can look at my to-do list and say, oh, I can do that, and I can get it done. It's not going to be 20 minutes of figuring out what I need to do. It's 2 seconds of figuring out what I need to do, because I did the time to prepare so I can get moving forward. And that's why I've developed the Purposeful Journey the way it is. Now, if you want to learn more about the Purposeful Journey, I do suggest you click on the link down below and dive into that. But it's all about building a system in your journey of growing your own food that will help you and move you forward through all the knowledge, because there's lots of it, that you need to grow your own food and to create purpose in your life and in your home for your family. So I hope you guys check out this app. I'm not connected to it in any way. I am not affiliated. I would love to be. If you're listening to this and you happen upon this episode, the creators of the Seedtime app, I would love to support you. But I'm supporting you now by sharing what I've learned from it and the benefits that I have given. So I am not affiliated with any of these guys, but if they wanted to be, I would love to. But this app is amazing, and I just want you guys to be able to utilize it and take your growing to a new level, but very simply. It doesn't have to be crazy, and that's what this app does for you. So we've covered the benefits. I've told you about the app, told you about how I love it and why I love it, the cost of it, and so much more. So I want to thank you for joining me here at the Pray Just Plant podcast. If you're new here, welcome to the Fellowship of Fellow Growers. And as always, don't let the world hold you back. Pray Just Plant.